Have you ever been watching anime and realized, like, the girls in the anime have the jankest color hair? I don't know, this is something I've been noticing ever since I watched anime. I'd be, like, watching an anime, and, like, the dudes have completely normal, conservative colors of hair. They have, like, you know, blonde and, like, black and brown hair. And then you look over at the girls, and there's, like, green, purple, pink, yellow, and you're like, what the frick? It was really disconcerting at first. And I mean, after time, I've just kind of accepted it. But I was thinking about it the other day, like, why is that? And I came up with a theory. I think it's because to Western audiences, they all look the same. So you have to sort of break it up a bit. You have to do something. And like their only distinguishing characteristic they can change is like the hair, because the eyes look the same. Like you can maybe vary height a little bit, but like that only goes so far, right? I don't know. And there are always like 40 billion women every single show. So you have to sort of like make them different somehow, right? Good evening, gamers, and welcome back to another episode of The War. That is the weekly anime recommendation, the show where I go out, I watch a frick ton of anime, I throw out all the bad ones, and I come back with one good recommendation for you, the viewer. So, I've actually been really hesitant to watch this anime. It's been on the bottom of my watch list for probably years now. It was one of those animes people would like recommend to me, and I'd kind of look stuff up about it, and it didn't really look that exciting. And I really regret that I didn't watch it earlier, because it's one of my favorite animes I've seen in probably the last year. It's a bit older of an anime. It came out in, I want to say, early 2010s. But it is just an absolute banger. The anime in question is, of course, Pong the Animation. Came out in about 2015, and oh my word, it is the best sports anime you will ever see in your life. Now, if you want to know what it's like, imagine like Haikyuu without like half the filler, with like none of the bullshit like training shonen arcs that they try to shove in all these like sports anime. And it's just a streamlined show about people playing a sport. It is like the most fundamental like storytelling I've ever seen in my life, and it gets everything perfectly. It's one of the cleanest anime I've ever seen in my life, and I cannot recommend it enough. Now, as the name suggests, Pong the Animation is about ping pong. It sort of follows two high school table tennis players, Peiko and Smile, as they sort of navigate the world of like the ping pong tournament situation in Japan at the time, right? So the main two characters are Peiko and Smiley, and they're two phenomenal table tennis players, but they sort of have very different views on their approach to the game and sort of their style of playing and, you know, yada yada yada, very typical sports anime stuff. And sort of the whole drive of the show is that they have to change their styles and they have to change their philosophies if they want to win. Now, as much as I love watching other dudes whack each other's balls around a table, the show is not really about the sport of ping pong itself. It's more about the characters' lives and sort of their motivations and what drives them to the pursuit of excellence through the sport of ping pong. And I think it does it in a very different way than other sports anime sort of approaches that concept. You know, I've seen Haikyuu, I've seen Kuroko's Basketball, and they both have moments where they have their characters sort of, they show the lives of the characters outside of the sport. But Pong the Animation is very different. The focus of Pong the Animation is almost on the characters' lives firsthand, and then the sport, rather than, I feel like in Haikyuu and Kuroko's Basketball, the focus is on the sport and then the characters' lives, if that makes sense. It's really interesting because it allows the show to use ping pong as sort of this long-standing allegory for dreams in life. Every character in the show starts out with sort of this massive dream to play ping pong, right? It's their sort of drive in life. But as the show progresses, it becomes more and more apparent to the different characters that they're not going to make it in the ping pong world, or, you know, their dreams sort of slowly become crushed, slowly become crushed, slowly become crushed. And it's that process of dealing with the loss of their love that makes the show so interesting. It's something that I think I can relate to. It's something that I think almost any viewer can relate to. And it raises a question that I don't really think gets asked that much in media, to be honest, and particularly not in the way that the show does it. Now, the anime itself is very short, just like my dick. So it doesn't really dawdle around with, like, you know, showing us a zillion characters and their like nitty gritty little like motives and whatever. It just sort of starts the story. And as you go through the story, they kind of drip feed you little bits of information about every single individual character. The story, I guess what I'm saying, the pacing of the story is immaculate. Like, they have this great job of sort of switching like 6 different like storylines, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all at once. You never get bored of a single storyline. It never feels like I'm just being fed information. I never feel like I want to just skip this, I want to get on to sort of like the action. It just sort of like keeps my attention the whole time. And it's really interesting because there's not really great animation. There's not really great, like, it's not like a super, like, cutting-edge sci-fi story that I'm just, like, on the edge of my seat the whole time. But I'm so captivated by it just because of the way they're able to sort of hold my attention through the storytelling. It's really quite a delight to watch, and it's an example of exquisite storytelling. Another thing I really, really like about this anime is the way they make all the characters sort of feel different. I feel like a lot of times when I watch a sports anime, it feels like every single character is just kind of like copy and paste with just like a little bit of like variation to them. They're not really all that different. They do a great job of sort of doing the like character design to where all the characters look very different. They do sort of like the character like aspects of each character and their motivation for being involved with the sport, like very, very different. They're all distinct characters. They all sort of have like different tropes. I know one character sort of has his pride on the line. Another one has like his like family pride on the line. Another one just plays because he wants to have fun. And you know, I think part of that is because they're like a relatively small cast. Like I mentioned, it's a shorter show, so they don't really have the time to explore a whole bunch of characters. But I think it's also very mindful character choices, and it really just works. I'm gonna be honest, I have a very hard time finding any faults with the show at all. Every single character arc is sort of perfectly like wrapped up at the end. Every single character sort of gets like a very satisfying ending. There's nothing I can really complain about. There are like sort of maybe two things I can complain about. One, that like the animation is kind of like weird. It's kind of weird. Like I don't really even think that's a criticism because it's the director's style. If you've seen Devilman Crybaby, it's the same guy that did Devilman Crybaby. Another phenomenal anime, by the way. I'm gonna make a video on that in and of itself. But yeah, the art style is a little like uncomfortable if you're like just watching it for the first time. But like that's his style. I can't really critique that, right? I actually quite liked it. You may have a problem with it, which is the only reason I say maybe it's a negative, but you know, it's his style. I can't really criticize that. And then I think the other thing I can maybe say something about is it felt kind of short, but I also like love that about it because it doesn't go on and on and on. Even though like I could have probably watched it for another 10 episodes, I'm happy that I got the ending I got when I got it and it just didn't drag its feet. So I'm going to be honest, I don't really have anything I can say negative about the show. Like it's really an awesome show. Like I think the art style choices were amazing. Yeah, I can't say anything about the show. My review of the show, so I'm honestly going to give it full marks on everything. Like there was no fan service, like none at all, so I can't really give it any marks for that. Like full marks, 5 out of 5. The animation, like I said, it's not super impressive, but it's the man's art style, and it, you know, there are scenes that it looks really good. You can sort of follow, there'll be scenes where like kind of hitting the ping pong back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it does it really well. Like you can follow everything that's happening. It's like not like super tense like action, like Fate or anything like that, but it does the job. It's a 5 out of 5. I mean, it does exactly what I want it to, and the art captivates me, so 5 out of 5. Characters, amazing character storytelling, amazing like development of characters. They made every single character super complex and interesting. Even sort of some of the side characters, like the sensei sports anime guy that's like, ooh, the coach, and like the girlfriend, even though there isn't like a girlfriend for the protagonist, there's sort of like a girlfriend for like a side character. Even she got amazing characterization. It's, you know, like I can't imagine how the characters would be any better. So 5 out of 5 for the characters. Like the story itself, like, yeah, it's about ping pong, so it's kind of bland, but like I said, it focuses on the subtleties of life and how these characters navigate the challenges that come not out of ping pong, but sort of their like loss of the sport and their feeling of like desire sort of between like being a person and sort of marrying the sport. It's, you know, I think the story's a 5 out of 5 as well. It's like, you know, pretty original. I don't think a lot of sports anime fall into this category, so I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5. I seriously think this show's a 20 out of 20. I could not find anything wrong with it. I'm sure other people can. But yeah, it was an amazing show. I enjoyed every second of it, and I wish I'd watched it sooner. So that's my review. I really highly recommend you go watch it. It's an amazing show. If you like Devilman Crybaby, it's by the same guy, like I mentioned, so you'll definitely love it. And yeah, so if you like this video, please give me a subscribe, and I will see you next week on The War. Take care.